Hey my friend, here is what this episode is all about. It was going to be a short one, a little bit about being your best, and it's gone into a mega, wonderful, deep dive on being your best, how to be your best, how to succeed in getting back the things that maybe are stopping you, and we dive even deeper of, even if it doesn't work, how we can make sure it does work. So much in here. 5 minutes has it's been extended to say round about 50 odd minutes, and it's flown by for me, and I think it will be you. Get your pencil, get your pad, because you might want to make notes in this. I think you will. Please enjoy with my compliments.
Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hello, this is Paul Clough, Personal Development Unplugged, and a longer podcast, which I'm not sure how long it will be. I have a feeling it will be quite a long one, because, you see, initially I was just thinking this particular subject was going to be, well, just a bit of an easy type thing, a bit of a doddle, maybe not as significant as some posts and some episodes. But the deeper I got into it, the more it became more and more relevant to everything that we do. Now, there is an important bit, and the important bit is right at the very end, where I dive into deeper thoughts really about this subject if things aren't working the way we want them to work. Because we have all these exercises, I give you some hows and things to think about, but if that's not quite working for you, I thought to myself, well, what happens now? Do you just give up? I thought, no, I'll think about something else. So do be aware that we'll go through this, and if it's not quite gelling, or there's something that is like sticking with you in a way that it's not letting you progress, stick through to the end. But here's the thing. I'm sure you know very few people remember who came second place in a competition. Sometimes it's hard to know who comes first, but certainly second place is something that it generally disappears very quickly unless it's on quality. Because we really remember what happens. We remember good quality, don't we? Someone gives you a good quality job or whatever, and we will remember it. But it doesn't stick in our mind as much as a bad job. A second best job. That lasts, and it lingers, and it's always there. So I was thinking, it's so easy to fall into that type of second best. Because who wants to be remembered for second best if there is a second best to remember? You don't want to be remembered for it, do you? You do want to be remembered for shining, for being that little bit different, don't we? That little bit better, because it's only a smidgen better than everyone else. It makes you out blooming standing. So here's what I thought. Imagine this. Imagine if you asked me to do something for you. A little job, a little something. And I toddle off as I do. And I come back with, well, it's slightly below par. It's not the best. It'll do. Yeah, it'll do. And if I thought about it, I probably could have done a little bit better, but it'll do. It's all right. And maybe it will do, but it's not the finest. It's not finished. It's not clean. It's not tidy. Maybe a little bit of editing. You see, we wouldn't accept that from others, would we? I'll be honest. We wouldn't. And even if you did accept it from others, would you come back for more? Would you come back and say, oh, by the way, your job was so second best, I'd like some more of it, please? And not at all, would you? You wouldn't come back. You would swerve, you would shun, you'd be... Well, and what does it feel like? What does it feel like when you've been treated second best, that you weren't treated like the person you want to be treated by, and how you want to be treated by? You get that feeling in your body, normally it's around about your tummy, where things just don't feel right. Sometimes it makes you even get angry. Maybe you feel a bit depressed because you feel sad that someone didn't treat you the way you wanted to be treated. Now, what do you say inside? Yeah, you might have a little dialogue going on. You might even project a picture, a movie of how you will never have that again and how bad it must have been, blah, 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 and you make it even worse. So that second best now is even third or fourth best. Now, this might just be for me. I don't know. Remember that later bit. We're going to come to that. That's the important bit. But the why. Why would we do that? Perform. Give our second best. Maybe we thought it doesn't matter. It's not that important. And probably you might be right. It would have been just good enough. Just good enough. But to the receiver, it could be devastating. Especially if you're buying something, you're purchasing something, you've got this little contract of sale going on, and you should, by rights, over-deliver on your contract, shouldn't you? Give more than people expect. And I think that's what this can happen. There's some great service around, by the way, and we're going to start reflecting this on ourselves. Because if you noticed, I've been talking about why would we do that? Because, you see, here's the thing. If we were to dive a little deeper, a sort of question to you, if you're doing something right now, or if you bring to mind the last thing that you did, be honest now, was it your best work? Did you put every effort into striving for it to be the best? Have a think. So what were you doing last, or what are you doing right now? And is this your best effort? Are you striving to be the best? If you are, blooming awesome. But you see, if I was answering this, other than this podcast, because I really do strive to be the best, and you might not believe that, but I really do. But if I was answering this on a lot of stuff, things I generally do, I'd probably say probably not. Probably I don't apply my best to everything. And this type of thing can even, I was thinking a bit deeper, you see, and I was thinking, well, doing things is one thing, but even the way you treat people, second best. Do we give them our full 100% attention? Do we think about what's happening? What's their intention? What are their needs? What are their wants? Think about the last person that you interacted with. Maybe you were buying something. Now, were you being the best client, the best customer? Or maybe if you were selling something, were you the best seller, the best provider? Taking that telephone call. Maybe you were complaining about being given second best. Did you complain in a way that's truly effective and also showing the best of you? Now, when I wrote these notes and I started thinking about this, I thought, let's be honest, Paul. Come on, Cluffy, out of 10, what do you think? And I thought, well, I'd like to think. And that's even a waiver, isn't it? I'd like to think I always give at least 7 out of 10. That's what I'd like to think. That's pretty good, isn't it? And then I thought, that's not good enough. How can that be good enough when it's only 7 out of 10? I mean, that's crazy. But I thought to myself, at one moment when 7 out of 10, I thought that's pretty good. And you can say, well, it's an average. No, averages are no good. Because averages are just a bit, you can have some low numbers, high numbers, and we want to be the best. Now, when you think of your number, my number 7 out of 10, I thought to myself, and I want you to think about it, how does it make you feel? And I thought to myself, when I was writing my notes, obviously I have to write this question, I have to come up with a question, so automatically I have to answer the bloody thing. And it made me feel quite sad, because what does it take just to go to 10 out of 10? Okay, sometimes we can't always do that because maybe we're tired. It's a bit of an excuse, by the way, but maybe we are a little tired. Maybe we've taken on too much, and our best would have been to actually just not do too much. But sometimes, we have to cut a corner. But at least we're doing our best to still provide. Just the results aren't as good as we would have liked to have given. But in the given circumstances, that was giving your best. So that's okay. I just felt sad about it for myself. And I'm thinking, what happens just before you do something? And I put this out so many episodes. did I set my intention? What was my intention when I was giving a 7 out of 10? And I say at least a 7 out of 10, which tells you sometimes it could be a little bit low, but generally, but that 7 or 8 out of 10. What was my intention? Now, I don't really think I was really in it, but it was just probably not thinking it through beforehand. And that was my da-da-da-da light bulb moment. Didn't think it through beforehand. It's one of those things where we just go into automatic pilot, isn't it? And we just go. We think we know what we're heading, what we've got to do, and we just do it. And by the way, we get interrupted. Now, that da-da moment, da-da, that light bulb moment. If I didn't think it through, what needs to happen? What needs to happen so I can start performing? Or certainly aiming for a 10 out of 10. Because if I aim for a 10 out of 10, I might not get there, but I'll certainly get closer to it than if I aim for a 7 out of 10. Or just good enough. Because sometimes we don't even hit that just good enough when we aim for just good enough. Now, there's a very simple way of doing it, and I love this way. And it is so simple, it's crazily simple, and it comes from, I heard it with the podcast by Jordan Harbinger, and it was simply the door frame sticker. What are you talking about, Cluffy? Well, you go through doors all over the place, don't you? So if you work from home, you go through a couple of doors more often. If you're working in an office, you go in through your office door, or wherever. Maybe your car door. But you go through doors, and they all have frames. What would happen if you put on a little sticker on your door frame right at eye level so you can't miss the blooming thing? In bright, bold writing, set your intention. Think this one through beforehand, or whatever would make you think of it. Maybe it's a picture of something, a drawing. It can be a symbol. Doesn't have to be that everyone else has to see it, but it's a symbol that suddenly goes, oh yeah, what am I doing now? What am I doing in this very moment to wake you up in the moment? And I think it's awesome because it's so simple. And then what tends to happen is, well, if you think about it, there are so many door frames around, even if they haven't got stickers, your unconscious mind will begin to notice, is there a sticker there? What would that sticker say if it was there? It would say that symbol, or set your intention. Are you doing your best? And it then becomes an unconscious habit, an unconscious trigger, using natural things, natural anchors as they were. Now, what an awesome thing to do. And I think it's because it seems to be ridiculous, but it isn't. That's really not saying the right words, but it seems ridiculously simple that it will work, because in simplicity there is genius. So well done, Jordan. Don't know where you got it from, but I'm going to give you credit for that. Now, what you could do is also start to think of, well, let's have a think about things. The things I've just done. And just sit down for 30 seconds, pause. You know that pausing and stop we talk about? And ask ourselves, how could I have done better? And I always say, write the answers down. Write them out. Because when you do that, it only takes 30 seconds to, how could I have done better? Well, I could have had, maybe I didn't set my intention right. Maybe it was too general. Maybe I should have asked a question of what exactly was required. Because when you write these down, they will go deeper into your neurology. And then if you wanted to, and I think it's a good idea, you could just visualize it out. Just visualize and think. See yourself doing that little thing. And again, it's setting like a memory that isn't there. So your unconscious mind thinks this is what we do normally. So you're like performing a habit before you perform the habit. And again, it's a little bit like you do this 3 or 4 times and you'll start to automatically do it. And then you suddenly start making sure the things that you needed to do better, they get incorporated with your daily routines. So that 7 out of 10 does become the 9s and the 10s out of 10 more often, and people will then comment on it and you'll feel good. And even if you comment on it to yourself, and that's the best thing. I love doing it. When I work with a client and we've done such a great job together and they get their result, when they go, I talk to myself, oh, well done, Cluffy. You and I did absolutely awesome. And my internal unconscious mind, I call you and I, but it comes to running the sentence, you and I, we did awesome. Now then, we could go a little bit further. And it's a little bit like setting your intention. So instead of doing the review of what you've just done, as you see that thing on the door frame, or as you wake up in the morning and you go, well, there's one or two things that I'm going to do. I know I'm going to do. And I've got an idea what 10 out of 10 would be like, what it would look like. If I was watching a movie of it, what would I look like striving to be my best? Because I'm not going to say be your best, because we always know you never will be your best, because there's always the opportunity to do a little bit more. So you're striving to be that personal best. And you'll ask a question. If you've got that particular thing in mind, actually ask, what would it be like to strive to be my best in doing, and you fill in the blank. And enjoy the process. Always put and enjoy the process. Maybe and enjoy the process and learn from it. Two great bits to finish off with. Closes the loop. And then you leave it. What do you mean leave it? Well, what happens is you ask that question and you're asking effectively to your unconscious mind. So you ask the question, what would it be like to strive to be my best when I go and see this particular person? To really enjoy that process and learn. So I can use those learnings in the future. Then you leave it. Well, your unconscious mind starts to go, well, what a brilliant question. Normally, they ask me, what's it going to be like when it fails? What's it going to be like when it's horrible? What happens? But this time they want to know what it's going to be like to strive to be our best. Leave it to me. Now, to finish off that loop, because you've left it open now, haven't you? You've left that loop unending. In the evening, with your glass of water, wine, beer, cup of tea, whatever you choose, or anything, just a breath of fresh air maybe, is you take just 30 seconds at the end of the day. Maybe it's just before you close your eyes to go to sleep. And you review that event. And you review it in a way. You don't have to relive the whole thing, but just review it and say, well, how did it go? Did I strive to do my best? Did I achieve a personal best? How did it make me feel? What was the result like? And I can't guarantee it, but the old Clever guarantee tends to come in. You will outperform what you would have done. And I believe the more you do this, your best just gets better and better. And then if it wasn't quite your personal best, you can go back to that second question. Well, what could I have done better? How can I learn from this? Because sometimes we don't plan for every eventuality, do we? So something might blindside us, mightn't just knock us off kilter. And yeah, we should be flexible enough, or we would hope to be flexible enough to be able to deal with these type of things and come back onto our plan, back onto our trajectory, get back into the goal in mind, use all the things that we know and everything like that. Acting from a state of wonderful physiology and psychology of excellence. But all that stuff, those 5 keys to success, as you know. But sometimes it happens. So maybe on that review, you might want to say, well, what could I have done better? And let's just visualize it actually going and dealing with that little eventuality in a different way. Because now you are starting to get your unconscious mind to practice. And what does practice make? We talk about this all the time. What does practice make? It makes perfect. No, it doesn't. Practice makes permanent. So good practice makes good permanent. And that's what we're going to strive for, our best. And once you get that as a habit, my God, things will just, well, they'll just go so well. Now, before we go on to the bit I was talking about, the important bit, when we look at all of this, it's not rocket science, is it? It's simple. But the things that work that are simple, and all things should be simple to work with, doesn't mean to say, well, you can just breeze through them, because it takes effort. In fact, you have to be the best you in planning what you're doing. You have to be your best you in setting your intention. You have to do your best you in reviewing, because we're continually, it's like being your best you with every breath you take. So just for a moment, before I dive into that, the important bit, I want you to think. I don't know when you're listening to this, but just think for the moment. What have you got coming up in your life that you would like to perform at your best? And it can be anything. It doesn't have to be the biggest meeting in the world or a presentation. It could be just maybe meeting somebody or a phone call. Simple as that. And just bear with me for a second then. And let's just bring that to mind. just for a moment, bring that project, that thing, that goal that you have, that little step, and bring it to mind. Just so you know exactly what you're heading for and what you'd like to achieve. And as you think about that, say these words. What would it be like to strive to be my best in this, to enjoy the process and learn, so I can use those learnings and have them available to me whenever I need them? Okay, that's an easy one. Or let's just keep this thing together now. We'll maybe do a different one. I'm going to ad-lib this one. Bring that thing to mind that you want to do. And I also want you to think of how you would like to feel when you're feeling your best. So what if you knew what that success would be, how would it make you feel? Or what would be the best state to have, you think, to have during that thing? So sometimes when I'm working with a client, maybe the thing is I would like to have connection, or maybe I just like to have all my learnings available. That's my normal one. Everything I know is going to be available to me. So when I make that decision, it's going to be the right decision. So just think, what do you think the best thing, the best state that you would have in that thing you're going to do? And as you think about that, say these words inside. What would it be like to feel, and say those words, when I'm doing, say those words, to strive to be my best, to have all my skills, all the best me available to me, and enjoy that process, enjoy that time, and learn from it. Now, we've done that twice now. What I want you to do is later on, having gone through that time, that event, just sit back for a moment. And as we said, just review it. Did it go better than you thought? Or did it go as well as you planned or you wanted it to? If it did, just have a little bit of gratitude. Maybe ask, I wonder what it'd be like to do that type of thing even better next time, this or something better. Or maybe it didn't go quite so planned and there was a little bit, something came in that you weren't aware of. Just take that moment or two to maybe write down what you could have done better. And I know, maybe you're driving at the moment or you're doing something and you think, what a good idea this is, because you think Cluffy's got onto one here. But what you have to do is do this. Knowing it is not the same as doing it. As I've said before, I know a lot of people who know far more than I do about NLP, hypnosis, timeline therapy, all this personal development stuff. They could quote every book under the sun. Intellectually, they know the lot. But when you put them in front of a client, they can't do it because they know it. Knowing is not really, you only really know it when you do it. So you need to do this, put that little bit of effort. And this is what I said, it's simple things. You go, oh, it's simple, I'll do that tomorrow. No, it's so simple, let's do it now because it takes effort to do. And you see, if you, I don't know how I want to put this. If you're going to up your game, and you really want to up your game, little by little, take each little step. And if you do what I'm suggesting here, you are going to exceed, because it's going to go exponentially. It'll start with a little step, and those steps will grow bigger and bigger. And the thing is, you'll be setting habitual habits, because that's what habits are. They're habitual, aren't they? Yeah. But you'll be creating wonderful, positive habits that become your foundation, and then you strive to do better than that. Wonder. Just have a think for a moment. What would that be like if you knew you could up your game, little by little, and really set yourself apart from the rest? Because it is just a little percentage difference that sets you completely apart, shows who you really are. Because those people aren't doing this. They're cruising. They're giving that 7 out of 10. This is how to make a big difference. Would that be important to you? What would it feel like if you knew, when you set your intention, you ask these questions and strive to be your best? What would it be like, feel like, to succeed in that way? To just know that you were improving every time. Wouldn't it make your dreams that much more tangible? Wouldn't your dreams get bigger, better? Wouldn't your goals get so rich that they would pull you through anything. And if you strive to be your best and ask these questions and look back and review, you'd get there. But here's the thing. My note to me about this, by the way, I always have this little note. Why is it important to you? And I think it's that just being your best and striving and being that one little bit better than everyone else will set you apart so your dreams come true. I think that's really important. Well, I hoped it was for you. But to me, it's so important because this simple stuff just makes sense. And it's not complicated because it just makes sense. And then I got to thinking, though, because we could stop now. We could stop right now and go, I've given you the tools. All you have to do is use them. You've got a toolbox now, loads of little bits of tools in here. This one I think is a great one because it sets off everything. And the reason I say it sets off everything, because some of the things I want to be doing in the next few podcasts is diving deeper into some real serious stuff, as well as the little bits and pieces with the 5-minute quickies. But if we're going to dive deeper together, we both need to up our game. Or be on our game. That may be a better way. But I'm going to try to be even up in my game on each one of these. So I'll be thinking deeper. How can I communicate it better? How can I enunciate my words without slurring and all that stuff? And to really get the message across. But the thing is, I thought, I could stop now, and there'll be a lot of you will go, yeah, it seems to make sense, and I'll do it. There'll be one or two of you who'll maybe, like me in the past, have said, it makes so much sense, I'm not going to do it. Because I don't need to do it because I know it. And that's where I've hit myself over the head and go, you know it, Cluffy, but you have to get on and do it. And then it makes so much sense when you do. And there's one thing I thought about. What if none of this works for you? Maybe you're that one person when you go, yeah, it makes so much sense, but I just don't get it. Maybe I can ask the questions, but something inside me is stopping me from finding those answers, maybe. Maybe I know I want to be better. I really do want to strive to be my best. It makes so much sense to strive to be my best. But I get this feeling. That I can't do it. Which seems crazy, doesn't it? Why wouldn't you want to strive to be your best? Why wouldn't you, do you think? Because I had to think about this, because to me it was obvious. Everyone does. And I thought to myself, well, why, Cluffy, are you sometimes a 7 out of 10? Why, Cluffy, don't you do some of that stuff? And I thought, well, what's that feeling telling you? Well, it's like, to me, I'll give you an example. I write in my journal about I want to do something and I'm really looking forward to doing this and I really would like to do it. And I get that feeling in my stomach. It's always in that same place. And I try to ignore it. But why wasn't it there all the time? It wasn't there 5 minutes ago before I started writing. It wasn't there when I started writing. But just as I started thinking and writing that sentence, I got that feeling. I thought, what's the intention of having that feeling? And it's holding me back, isn't it? That feeling was holding me back. In fact, why? I thought to myself, why is it holding me back? And I thought, well, I don't want to know why. Because why, a lot of the times, will give me my excuses. Why aren't you doing it? Well, it's not the right time of year. Oh, I haven't got enough time. All excuses. But there is one important why. And it's about the belief. Because they're like sort of beliefs. The time's not right. I haven't got time. But they're not the real core beliefs that's stopping me doing it. So I thought, well, to find my intention, what's the belief below this? And the way I do it, I just tend to go into that feeling for a moment. I say, I know you're trying to do something for me positive. I know you have a positive intention. But this feeling isn't, it doesn't feel positive. So I know also there's a conflict because I know the stuff I want to do, it could be really good for me. It could make the difference. But that feeling has stopped me. So I go into that feeling, I just ask, what belief do I have about myself that really makes this feeling so? And that's a lovely thing to do. Just think about that. And when I ask my clients, sometimes they'll go and go, oh, let me think about it. They go, well, don't think about it. Please do not think about it. Because when you think about it, you're going to use your conscious mind. And your conscious mind is going to come up with all those bloody excuses and all the things that I want. Boom. First thing that comes into your mind. The first thing that comes out onto your lips. The first words that come out. And when I do that with a client, they go, well, it's because I'm stupid. Oh no, I mean, for me, it was, I'll get hurt. A lot of the times I was doing, I'll get hurt. And I'm thinking, but the things I'm going to get if I succeed at them, it's going to be awesome. I'm going to have so much fun. But it didn't help, because I still had that feeling of being hurt. Now, for others, and I go for some examples that I've had with other people, when I do my coaching and my client work, some people have the fear of success. So being fearful of being successful. Now, obviously, you got the fear of failure. So you got different people still not doing the same thing, having completely the opposite fears and beliefs about what it's going to be like. Because, I'm stupid. Because you get some wonderful beliefs that, I have a fear of success because I'm stupid. And they go, but it's that belief of I'm stupid will stop you doing stuff and keep you safe, supposedly safe, from doing stuff and maybe failing. Or maybe succeeding and having all the pressures of success. Because what happens if you really have success? Sometimes your life changes. And that's something to be frightened about. So your unconscious mind goes, we'll stop it completely. Give you this feeling. Give you that little core belief underneath. Maybe it's being just looked at. Being seen. Being seen above the parapet, as it were. That imposter syndrome. It's the same thing, isn't it? I'm going to come up and, why should I be here? There's people better than me. Well, they may be better than you, but it doesn't mean to say that's in their specific expertise. But you have a thing to share, if that was a thing. But also there's things like being looked upon as an expert. And I know of so many people who are experts. They've been in their fields for 10, 15, 20 years. And still don't consider themselves an expert. I know that because I've been doing this type of work for coming up now to nearly 21 years. And I'm still learning. And if you're still learning, you can't be an expert. But what you don't tell yourself is, but you know a bloody lot, Cluffy. And when you talk to people, you realise you know so much. Well, you get to realise that you know so much because you're either keeping up with them or you know more. And if you don't know more, they teach you as well. So you do know more. But that's that conflict, you see. The conflict with the feeling you're getting and that intention. And that intention is generally around some form of protection. Protection from that feeling of not being excess, or that feeling of being seen as an expert, or being successful, or failure, or hurt, or being guilty, or being whatever. And once we understand that, we can start to look at that limiting belief. Because that's all it is. It's a limiting belief that was trying to save you, trying to protect you, trying to keep you safe. But at the end of the day, the things you want to do, the things it's stopping you doing, would be awesome. And a long time ago, when that belief first happened, your unconscious mind only had the wisdom and the experience that you had back at that time, that age. And it hasn't changed, and you've got a mass of experiences and wisdom now. So here's the thing. Let's leave it just like that. What, Cluffy, you've left me hanging. No, I won't leave you hanging. Here's what we're going to do. Now, if this is you, and I'm sure there are times, even when you say, well, none of what you've been talking about so far is not exactly like me. But I'm thinking, yes, it is. Because we've all got something. I thought I, at one particular time, was not invincible, but I could do this, and this. And yet that feeling of being hurt, was pulling me back and stopping me doing stuff, sharing me basically to other people. And I still have it. Still have to work on that. So there's a conflict going on. But there's that belief. Now, how are we going to do that? Now, you are going to have to write these down. Sorry, simple, but takes effort. The effort is writing bloody words together. So that's not a big deal. But as you get that feeling and you understand that belief, so say it was the fear of success. I want you to think back over your past and think of times when you've been successful. You've done something, it was a success, and you felt safe. And the reason you know you felt safe is because you didn't feel unsafe. And it doesn't have to be in the same context as we're thinking of, because this is generalized. So we're going to go into generals to bring it back to specifics, because we're going to loosen the model of your world. And then what we say is, okay, how many times can I think of times when I've been successful, or times when I've been looked at as an expert, or times when I've done things and I haven't been hurt? For me, I had to think of times when I've done things that I wasn't sure of, but I wanted to do them, and I felt good and it was successful. I didn't get hurt by it. I shared myself, because my particular personal thing, this is just between you and I, when I shared bits of me to somebody else, we call it, air quotes now, vulnerable and things like that, did that and I didn't get hurt. Yeah, there are times in my past when I did, and I understand why this part of my unconscious mind is trying to protect me from that, but it's stopping me doing stuff now. So the first part of this exercise is just sit down and think of times in the past when you've actually achieved the type of things that you're trying to do now that are being held back. And you write them down. See, when you write them down, you have to obviously put your words to the pictures you see in your mind to describe it. And then your pen has to write them, and your eyes see the words that you write, and you have to say those words in your mind. And there's muscle memory and everything like that, and it means your unconscious mind is getting this counterexample, and that's what they are. We're finding counterexamples to these beliefs, these things that are holding you back, to say, well, these are times when I've been really safe and it's been successful. And you do this for at least 5 times. And as you do each one, I really want you to visualize it and feel the feelings of what it felt like to achieve that ending of the goal. And also going through it if you wish to, but certainly the end, that success, the way it really made you feel. And notice how, if you said to yourself, do I feel safe? You'll feel so safe. I know you will. That's a guarantee. That's the old Cluffy guarantee. When you do it, you go, when I succeeded, I felt bloody awesome. And that's when I feel awesome and successful and I just feel good, that's safe. And then you do the next one. Do exactly the same. Visualize it. Describe the event. Very briefly, only 1 or 2 lines. Feel it again. What was that last feeling? And then you go to your unconscious mind, having done all of that, and then having all those, look at all of those sentences and feel all those feelings in one. Really cram them into your body. And then you say to your unconscious mind, how can I get this, the thing you want to do, and be safe and get it in a better way, to get it to feel this way? And visualize yourself then doing it, being safe with those feelings. So put all those wonderful feelings that were those counterexamples into that one visualization of seeing yourself doing it. And say to yourself, what belief would I have to have? What belief did I have in those other counterexamples? If I put them all together, what belief would I have to achieve that end and be safe? And it may be as simple as, I'm okay. I've got this. Boom, no worries. I'm there. This is mine. Things like that will just knock it out of the park. And as you visualize it, see yourself doing it, saying that belief with your internal voice. So one is lined up with the visuals, with the emotions, with the thoughts, everything comes together. And then you say to yourself, this or something better. This or something better. So maybe if you wrote that down now, or if you just thought about it for a little while, just to give you an idea, say you've done those beliefs and you know how you want to feel. Just imagine something that you've wanted to do. You wanted to shine and be your best, but you've been held back. And you know it's for a wonderful intention. And thank your unconscious mind for doing what it's been doing, but it's no longer working. It's in conflict. And then just for a moment of time, as long as it's safe to do so, if not, come back to it. Just imagine now, if you closed your eyes, and see another you out there in front of you, doing that thing that you have loved, wanted to do, to be able to do with complete competence and the confidence that goes with that competence. and see yourself with all those wonderful emotions. Knowing that you have that belief that you've got this. This is yours. This is mine. It's going to be okay. I'm loving this. This is awesome. Boom. And when you see yourself doing that and imagining yourself with those emotions and saying that, those wonderful internal positive beliefs, just for a moment float out of your body into that you out there. And notice achieving that success. Go to the very end and feel what it would be like to having achieved exactly what you dream of. And say in the loudest voice possible. If it's an internal voice, shout it out. This or something better. This or something better. And then come back into your body. Open your eyes, let everything disappear. And you can repeat this a few times if you wish. Just rewind it. Maybe I'll do a very short, not hypnosis, but like an NLP process for this. We'll have to see. But then if you want to just repeat it, and just this or something better, and feel it with your whole being. And then go back to the type of things you want to do. To asking those questions, what would it be like? To strive to be my best at this particular thing I'm coming to shortly. To enjoy the process. You see, I want you to have this type of process, this type of thoughts, or these type of thoughts, this understanding. So when we do dive deeper into the more serious stuff, and I'm thinking of things like loneliness, I've talked about this before, suicide, depression. We get a lot of things like when we're so jealous. We've got the imposter syndrome and all that stuff, but these type of things. And to do that, and to do it with justice, we can't do it and accept second best. Can't be done. We have to strive to be our best. And to do that, I'm going to do these type of things before I do that podcast on each one of those type of, and before I do my notes, to think deeply about it. Because it's so important to me, and hopefully now it makes sense to you, and it is important to get into this habit of striving at whatever we do, whatever we look to change, to know we'll do it being our best. Because when we have that will to do whatever it takes and be the best that we can do of having that will to do whatever it takes, if you do suffer from things like loneliness, thoughts of suicide, depression, sadness, guilt, anger, anything, I know we can find ways to make them better, but those type of things we can get rid of. You can lose them from your life and start to live the life that you really want. Now, I'm going to leave it here because I thought was going to be a 5-minute quickie at one time. Then the notes got deeper and better. I've noticed we're going to go well over 40, 45 minutes. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully it's made you think. I really do get you to feel both thoughtful and motivated. And if you do, please do those little exercises. Follow that da-da moment, that light bulb, setting your intention. Really strive to be your best. Then whatever we do, whether it's goals in the future or letting go of the crap that we don't want in our lives, we can do it quickly, easily and effortlessly. Why? Well, because you can. It's as simple as that. I've had my rant a little while ago, only just a little while ago, about digging through the what's it. Doesn't have to take a long time. It doesn't have to hurt. It can be comfortable. And it can certainly be comfortable when we do our best. Strive to be our best and better. This or something better. So with all of that, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got more than a couple of golden nuggets. And I hope you share them with others, if you would please. Because if we all strive to be our best with our colleagues, with our friends, with our family, we would be leaving this world and everyone we meet in it so much better than we first met them. And little old planet Earth might just get a little better with each little turn that it does. Until the next time, my friend, enjoy. Let me know any thoughts about this. You know where. Email me feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. It's my personal email here. You get a personal reply. I'm probably going to repeat this with a little outro, but please listen to the very end. Until next time, have more passion, fun, happiness than you can stand. Ta-da. So, the 90 seconds of hypnosis tracks. Why have I put hypnosis tracks on a separate website? Well, it's so simple really. I wanted you to have them all in one place so you can look through them all. You can find the particular one you want. I've even made them downloadable so you can put them on any of your playing devices that you prefer. You don't need Wi-Fi, you don't need the iTunes or whatever. You can put them anywhere you like. You can even burn them onto disk if you want. Where do you get them? Well, there you go. I told you it's paulcloughonline.com/podcast. If you're worried about your email address, please don't be, because they stay totally safe with me. I only use them to send you out that email and give you access. Simple as that. I send you a link, a special link, so you and only you can access those hypnosis tracks, because I want them just for you. And the other thing about this is you've taken responsibility. I don't want to make these open to everyone, just random. You have taken responsibility to listen and be part of this community of personal development. And I want to help you. I want to help you personally to get your dreams, your goals. And therefore, I'm giving you these tools, these protocols, these paradigms, whatever you want to call them, but in deep hypnosis. So just enjoy. Have more fun than you can stand with hypnosis. So before you leave this unplugged mind of mine, this hypnotic mind, if you enjoyed this podcast or any of the other podcasts, please do subscribe. It helps this podcast grow and affect so many more people. And we love to leave everyone in a better place than we found them, and this will help the podcast. It will help you, and it will help, well, everyone that you know. So if you could just subscribe and share this podcast to everyone you blooming well know. That's the only cost. Pay it forward to everyone, and when you do that, boom, we are all going to make a difference to this little old planet Earth of ours and the people in it. But let's make a good world, a nice world. Okay, you can now prepare to leave this unplugged mind.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.